Hello and welcome to Tell Me How You Did It. I'm Namrata Zakaria and I'm here to bring to you my handpicked list of some of India's finest brands. Yes, our best homegrown companies that can compete with the world's best and still win the battle hands down. These companies range from food, fashion, and film to home, art, and design. I'm only too happy to talk to the founders who not only chased their rainbows, they also made India proud. Make sure you tune in at htsmartcast.com week after week to shake the hands that built our best businesses. Listen to them tell me how they did it. My guest today is someone you would have barely heard of unless you followed the pink papers diligently. But you most certainly would have heard of his company and even gaped at the gorgeousness it creates. Nibhrant Shah is the founder and CEO of Isprava Luxury Homes and now Nibhrant Stays. Along with his brother Viman, the two started reasonably small but with a very strong list of backers. In no time, Isprava has become synonymous with plushness and a world-class aesthetic. Nibhrant is here to tell us how his gamble has paid off. Welcome to Tell Me How You Did It, Nibhrant. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Namrata. I'm really excited.
So, what made the two of you, Dhiman and you? Of course, you were an investment banker in New York. What made you move back and take this big risk of starting something so major? I mean, real estate is a very capital strong business in any case, but luxury real estate even more so.
Namrata, it's not like we had a big plan or a big strategy. I was an investment banker, I was in New York, I was in London. And the way it started actually was just going on a holiday to Goa, wanting a home there, not liking any home there. It was a cookie cutter builder fare. And that's when we decided, look, we should maybe build our own home. Halfway through, realized that, what we're building is quite amazing, decided to sell it. And here we are, many hundreds of homes later. I don't yet own a home, but at least we've kind of sold enough, and we've created a fairly strong brand that's very, very customer centric.
Yeah, I don't know what I feel about going to Goa to look for a business plan.
That's the only way to do it. So now we have meetings on the beach, and you can once in a while you can see some dolphins swimming by while you drink your coffee and you're negotiating hard deals. So it's always nicer than being in a large city.
That's what entrepreneurship really is, right? Everything's a business.
That's the only way.
Were you entirely self-funded from get-go? I know that your early investors were Anand Piramal, the promoter of the Piramal Group, and now the Godrej of Godrej Industries. That's well known that they set you up with about 10, 12 crores initially, right?
Right.
But were they there right from the start, or did they come on a little later?
So we were, to start with, self-funded. We had to have a proof of concept, which was one home. And we built that home, and it turned out to be beautiful, and we sold it for a little more than we expected to sell it for. And that's when we thought, look, let's make this a business. And the reason we made it a business, Namrata, was because two or three things, right? Number one, we always believed and continue to believe that real estate is a disruptible sector. It's a sector where you don't have to do much, and you can still wow a customer, right? You just have to deliver a home on time or before time, or you have to deliver what you promise. And then when we looked at the holiday home, or let's call it the non-urban market, there was a strong belief that the way people were buying and the way people were living were going to change over a 20-year period, and the 20-year period for us at that time was, 2035. And we worked towards, building ecosystems in these non-urban locations because, we thought that people would not want to breathe Delhi air or be stuck in Bangalore traffic or pay Mumbai prices and would want to move out of large cities. And we've seen that happen. COVID has accelerated that phenomenon to a large extent.
Yeah.
And we're strong believers that, the world's going to change, and suburbanization and non-urbanization is definitely a key theme.
And non-gentrification, of course, it's completely fueled the real estate market in cities, and the opposite of it has happened with holiday homes, right?
Absolutely. And the way we look at it, Namrata, and a little anecdotal evidence.
Mm,
We've had a buyer buy a 20 crore home from us.
mm.
This buyer is 25 years old. Um, he
25 years
he's,
old, 20 crores.
he's 25 years old. His partner is older, is about 35. They're both professionals. They live in Mumbai. They rent in Mumbai in the fanciest apartments. But they said we never want to buy a flat in Mumbai because it does not make sense. And if it makes so much more sense to be in a place like Goa where you can get the land, you can get your own vegetable patch, your own gardens, your own fruit trees, and get a lifestyle that you would not get in a large city. So we're seeing a whole load of customers who are moving towards, at some point at least living the dream of not living in the city, if not permanently, but at least semi-permanently.
Yeah. When you said disruptable, what do you mean?
So when I said disruptable, when you look at any sector and you look at disruption and how do you really change a sector and turn it on its head, usually it's about technology, right? And many times it might be technology or complex technology. The way we looked at real estate and said, look, here's a sector that's almost been the same for hundreds of years. Not much has changed. Uh, what do we need to do to win, and what do we need to do to be the best brand possible, right? And when we kind of tick those boxes, we said, look, number one, let's deliver on time. That's all we have to do. Builders didn't deliver on time. They never thought it a key KPI to deliver a home or a product or a project on time to a buyer.
Yeah.
um, and for various reasons, right? And so we said, look, our promise is we will deliver our homes on time. I'm happy to say we deliver, our average now is 68 days before time, and that's post-COVID. Pre-COVID, it was about 84 days before time. uh, we then said, look, let's just give.
I mean, I want to say that's unusual, but it sounds impossible actually.
Yes, exactly. And that's where we spent a lot of time. We spent, we built our technology around project management. We built our technology around construction management. We built our technology around techniques of construction. So, if you take a 10,000 square foot house and we give you a product that's completely frictionless, right? So it's fully furnished down to, the wine glasses, the forks, the knives, the Netflix and everything. We built a 10,000 square foot house in 11 months, right? And that 11 is going to drop to 9 in the next 1 year. That's quite unbelievable, right? Doing up a flat in Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore takes a lot more time, right? So we've gotten that down fairly correctly. We then said, how else can we disrupt the sector, right? It's about giving the buyer everything that you promise them, right? So it's not about the glossy brochures and the 3Ds. It's about actually giving them that and giving them a little more, right? And then lastly, we said, okay, what else do we need to do? And we said, let's make this company a lifestyle business. Let's not make this just a real estate business where we give beautiful products. So we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort after delivering the home to a buyer, right? So we have management teams, we have concierge services. So if you buy a home from us and you're flying into Goa, you have a homeowner app, and you can click on whether a BMW picks you up or an Innova. There's a concierge to book restaurants for you, or masseuses, or yachts, whatever you like. So what we've gone and we managed to create is this entire ecosystem that goes beyond just real estate or the actual product.
Yeah. May I ask you, how do you maintain the timeline when you say you use technology in a more modern way to
Yeah.
make deliveries? Can you give me an example?
Sure. So I think it's two or three things, right? Number one, you have to have a very, very, very strong supply chain. So we
Mm.
have a very strong hub and spoke model around warehousing and logistics. So
Okay.
that's number one. Number two is how we project manage and how we detail drawings. I think that's also a very, very important point. And that's something, again, that we spent a lot of time building our in-house software. So there's absolutely zero friction, and there's zero wastage at every step of the way. And that's kind of how we think about the entire product and the service.
So I read that you're going in for another round of funding. You want to raise 150 crores and dilute maybe 15-20% of your company.
Yes, we are already in talks with
Oh,
people.
excellent.
Uh,
Great.
so so in some cases, in fairly advanced talks. I think uh, the beauty of our business is It's a it's in a very unique space. We are a pan-India player. We are in Goa. We are in Alibag, which is outside
Yeah.
Maharashtra. We're
Yeah.
down south in the
Outside
Nilgiris.
Bombay.
uh, sorry, Alibag outside Bombay. Namrata, you're on the ball. We're down
I'm a
south.
Bombay girl.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I meant outside Bombay.
Yeah.
We are down south in the Nilgiris,
Yeah.
in Kunur,
Kunur.
Uti, etc. Late December, early January, we'll be up north in Kasoli, in Himachal Pradesh. So
Okay,
that's our
cool.
development business, and then we have Lohono, which is our
Yeah.
hospitality business, and there we're in Thailand, we're in Bali. Uh, we're in almost 7 to 8 locations in India. That's going to grow to about 15 in the next year. And we're adding London, and we're adding the Middle East. So,
Oh, fantastic.
we're going to
Yeah.
be, at least on the hospitality side, a global player, and on the real estate development side, at least a pan-India player.
So in India, your homes have been lapped up by the one percenters, celebrities, sports stars, movie stars. What do you think makes Isprava this tremendous success?
So I think it's two or three things. I always tell people anyone can build a beautiful home because beauty is subjective, right? Uh, what's important, however, when someone's spending 5, 10, 15, 20, or 30 crores with you is, do they trust you? And trust means, are you going to build the best possible product, and even better than what you promised? Are you going to deliver that product in time? Do you have their back, whether times are good or whether times are bad? uh, and then what we managed to do around the brand is create that ecosystem. So now it's no longer about buying a home. Of course, that's important. But it's also about creating value around it, right? So you're
Yeah.
buying the home. Are you making money on it by renting it out, right? So is it a cost center or is it a profit center? Is the home taking a lot of your time? Because a home that's not your primary home can be quite time consuming. And the one percenters, for them, it's money is important, but it's less important than time. And are we managing that? Are our engineering teams managing the home? Are our gardening teams the best in the business? Are our chefs the best in the business? And we've managed to create that ecosystem that goes beyond just the home. And that's why they've Namrata, right? Like the 1% just work on word of mouth. And if we manage to make one happy, then you get two, and when you make 100 happy, then you get 200 or 300 or 400. And that's how we built the business.
What do the super rich look for when they're buying a home? Are they easygoing? Are they cranky customers?
It completely depends. I think it completely depends. It's two or three things, right? I think number one, people want to have their say. They're used to the best things in life. This is not their second home. It's not their third home. In some cases, in one case, it's his 260th home. And
I don't believe you. I
there's a
don't
catch.
believe you.
There's a catch to that. That's because during the subprime mortgage crisis, he went and bought 200 homes in the Seattle and the broader Seattle area around Microsoft and Starbucks and Amazon at the time. So I always joke that was his 260th home, but that's the case, right? He went and literally just bought homes that were foreclosing and bought over 200 of them. But coming back to the point, right, Namrata, it's about uh, people want to have a say. People want their home to be completely unique, but ultimately, people don't want to think too much. Ultimately, they've come to us because they want they like Isprava, right? They like the look, they like the feel, they love the aesthetics. So they're saying, look, you're the expert. We want our touches, we want that little uniqueness. Maybe the art on the wall will be ours because that's my collection. But everything else we leave to you because you're the expert. And I'm sure you've seen that with fashion designers as well, right? Ultimately, you go to a Sabyasachi because he's the best in the business, right? Okay, you might say, look, can you change a little, border here or a little color there? But that's about it. And
You
you
don't
should
know
you allow that.
Sabyasachi. You
Yeah,
don't
I
know
maybe I don't.
Sabyasachi.
Maybe I don't.
He'll
Don't well enough.
probably show you the door.
Right. No, you're right. But we give that 5% flexibility for
Yeah,
that
of course.
uniqueness. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to take you back to Lohono Stays because we briefly
Sure.
touched upon it. It is, of course, a luxury rental service. Um, Tell us all you want to tell us about it.
Sure. So, Namrata, we spotted a gap in the market. Uh, if you look at the ecosystem for a customer, there are two broader, bigger types of players. On one side, you have your big box chains, right? Your typically global hotel chains, and they've always been successful because they take away any insecurity, right? They're highly standardized. Rooms are the same, the food is the same, the welcome is the same, the bed sheets are the same, etc., etc.
And the
And
brand name sells itself.
and the brand name sells itself, and you know whether you're going to a branded hotel in the same chain, whether you're in London, Timbuktu, Calcutta, Kashmir, or Kanyakumari,
Yeah.
you know what you're getting. So all the
Yeah.
insecurity is taken away. The issue with hotels, however, is they're too sterile for some. In some cases, and especially with Indians, Indians like traveling in a group, and suddenly you go to a hotel and you're all in your individual rooms, and if you want to get together, you're sharing that common space, be it a swimming pool or a restaurant or a lobby, with hundreds or thousands of other people. That entire privacy aspect goes away, and hotels ultimately are not unique. At least the big box chains are not unique, and you want that uniqueness, and you want that localness, and you want that experientialness. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have your peer-to-peer players, right? And Airbnb being the largest of them, and they work because they're unique, and they're experiential, and you can enter a home as a group of friends, and that home becomes your home for the day, right? So you can all hang out in the living room or by the swimming pool all day, and it's only you. The issue with the peer-to-peer players, however, is there's no service, and there's no standardization, and there's no
Exactly.
predictability,
Yeah.
right? And going
Sometimes you get a pretty photo and a lousy room.
and a lousy room, and it's hit or miss. And so what we're doing is we're layering on that predictability with service. So we're taking the beautiful, unique, private homes like a peer-to-peer would have, but we're layering on some level of service. We're layering on experiences. We're layering on F&B. So it's a good mix of both, right? And we sit somewhere in between.
So you take on a home and you offer the management of it, for
Yep.
example.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll take over the most beautiful homes in the world, and these are literally the most beautiful homes in the world. We then manage them completely, so the homeowner does nothing. Uh, they get a check in the mail at the end of the month. We then rent it out, etc., etc., and the homeowner makes a lot of money. The home's in better shape than when they were running it. They spend no time on the home now in terms of having to manage it, maintain it, deal with the staff, etc., etc. And yep, and for a guest, it's like being in a hotel in a home, and you get all the fun stuff of the entire ecosystem, kind of packaged into one.
Yeah. How has COVID changed the business? And I ask you this only because in your case, it's obviously for the better, and it's probably only in your case for the better.
Yep. So COVID has changed the business for the better, and in certain cases for the worse. And I'll start with the worst. Raw material prices have gone up. Be it steel, be it cement, prices have gone up significantly. So building a home is now a lot more expensive than it was before COVID, right? And COVID may or may not have been the trigger for increase in raw material prices globally, but it's definitely been one of the catalysts, right?
Okay.
Now coming to the better, I think on the Isprava side of the business, a lot more people are buying homes, right? You have people who now work for tech companies who say, you know what, I don't need to live in Bangalore anymore. I don't need to live in Pune anymore. Why should I? I can code out of anywhere, right? So we have so many buyers who are businessmen, working for tech companies or startup founders, trading their own books, finance guys who say, I don't need to go into office more than 3, 4, 5 times a month. So I'm going to live. Cricketers, a lot of cricketers, either ex and current cricketers who say, you know what, I'm anyway going to be traveling the globe, either as a commentator or as a, so why should I, you know, live in a specific city, right? And this has taught me that I can live outside a specific city. So a lot more people buying homes, and interestingly enough, the super rich, Namrata, and I'm talking about the top, the Forbes top 50. What we saw with a lot of them, and I'm not only the top 50, even the top 10. What we've seen with a lot of them is they owned homes across the world, but they did not own a holiday home in India. And when COVID struck, they were stuck in Mumbai or stuck in Delhi or stuck in Bangalore or Hyderabad, and they did not have a holiday home that fit their lifestyle within India, because their holiday homes were, in Dubai, London, Miami. Singapore, maybe all of them. And
Mhm.
suddenly, so we are now building homes for, the top 5 families or the top 10 families. And these are, you know, massive, massive homes, because they realize that the next time something like COVID happens, and it could be, a natural disaster, it could be a biological disaster like COVID, they
Yeah.
would want somewhere within India close to their primary residence that they
Yeah.
normally did not think they ever needed. So,
Yeah.
so that's also quite
We
interesting.
we've also discovered the beauty of India, right? Since we
We
couldn't
have.
get out, we just traveled within India. And for me, I mean, I'm just gobsmacked at why I didn't do it more often earlier.
Absolutely, and there's so many. We're going to be in Kashmir in the next 2 months,
Oh,
and when I say
wonderful.
we, I mean Lohono, and
Yeah, the
we'll be
rentals. Yeah.
the rental business, and so I've been spending a lot of time there, and the team's been spending, and it's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
it's heaven on earth, and so be it Kashmir or be it you know most places, it's just beautiful, and there's so much to do, and it's unique.
Yeah. What makes Isprava unique? Like, there are half a dozen companies catering to the luxury home
Yeah.
business, but according to you, how have you landed on top of this mountain?
I think we did not, in the early days, we and until today, I think our core philosophy, and I know this might sound cliched, is focus on the customer. And one of our investors and one of my advisors, Ajay Piramal, when I first started, told me, listen, at the end of the day, if you make a mistake or if you don't make a mistake, at least be willing to sort it out for the customer, because in the long term that will help hold you in good stead. And in the first home we built, and this anecdotal, but the first home we built, we made mistakes, right? I don't come from a real estate background, and we made mistakes, but we were willing to use our balance sheet to fix those mistakes, right? Be it a leakage, or be it something wrong with the roof, or be it something wrong with the furniture. And we continued to do that for 5 and 6 years after that home got sold. And that's
Mm,
part of our philosophy. And once you do that, people trust you, and
mm,
people realize that, look, this is a product and this is a service that goes beyond just a transaction, right? This is then a
mm.
deep relationship with the company. And every step of the way, we're giving you that opportunity to either make money, or have a great experience, and do it in the most headache-free fashion and in the most luxurious possible way, right? Because we
But
understand
Nibhrant,
luxury.
this is a very costly promise to make.
It is.
Because selling a home and making maximum profit is pretty much the end of the story where real estate is concerned. But to take on the responsibility so many years later, how does that affect your financials or your bottom line?
I think, Namrita, the way we think about it is, that's a brand promise. We, of course, profits are important, revenue is important, and that's obviously always one of our North Stars. But,
Mm.
uh, you know, our stronger belief, however, is, what we call our repeat cohort, right? And a repeat cohort is great in an e-commerce company where you keep getting customers back over and over again. We track repeat cohorts in Isprava. So we track how many homes a buyer buys with us over a period of time. And that's important. Does someone buy with us in Goa? Does the same person buy a second home in Goa? Does he or she then buy another home in Alibag, Kunur, Kasoli, and so on and so forth? So ultimately, the numbers add up. In the short term, there is always pain, or there was pain. But in the medium to long term, we've seen that it's actually worked to our benefit financially as well.
That's unusual and
Yeah.
wonderful. I want you to tell us a little bit more about your international plans.
Sure. So in Lohono, like I said, we're currently in 3 locations. We're in Bali, we're in Phuket, we're in Koh Samui. Uh, we have plans to enter the Middle East, and by that I mean mainly Dubai and Abu Dhabi, which we will be doing in Q4 of this financial year. We are also looking at London and Portugal fairly strongly, uh, and,
Portugal.
and Portugal as well. We've done a lot of research around it, and we've realized that there's a massive opportunity there as well. So those are the 2 countries that we will be in the next calendar year.
This is for Lohono, but
This is
Isprava?
for Lohon. Isprava, we're not looking to grow internationally. I think there's a lot of depth, Namrita, in India, uh, and this is the problem, or even the advantage of real estate is, it's very hyper local. To succeed, you need to go into the weeds, and you have to learn the ecosystem inside out. And doing that in a foreign country is a lot more difficult. So at least in the short term, we're looking at being in India. We've studied Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
We will be there,
Yeah.
but not for the next year. It'll be after that.
Okay, fantastic. Nibhrant, a lot of the young companies I'm speaking to for this podcast are especially very conscious of the work that they do benefit or impact people, and I mean that by livelihoods, and are environmentally conscious, so the planet as well. Um, how responsible is Prava, is Lohono, where these two very important parameters, people and the planet, are concerned?
Sure. And a really good point, Namrata. So, from day one, we have, uh, or we have and continue to add to this rule book in terms of what we do and how we do it. And I'll give you a few examples, right? Ultimately, real estate development by nature is not necessarily the most environmentally friendly sector, right? There are a lot of things you can do, and those are the things that we try and do. And I'll give you a few examples. Number one, we've never cut a tree in our life, right? So if there's a tree in a plot, we either design around it, and if it's not possible to design around it, we transplant them, right? So we spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort transplanting trees. On all our projects, there's some sort of either rainwater harvesting or collection, depending on the locations, and the nuances to that. But that's on every project or in every home we ever built. The techniques we use for construction, and again, these are things worth thinking about. But for example, in Goa, we use local techniques. So those are load-bearing walls. The reason for doing that is because then the material you're sourcing is local. And when you source local materials, number one, it of course works a lot better. Number two is you're not spending all that money, carting bricks and steel and all the other stuff from across the country, right? Because you're using
It's
the local.
also carbon friendly.
It's completely carbon friendly. And
And
yeah,
and you're
sorry, go ahead.
fueling the local economy as well.
You're fueling, and you're also supporting older techniques like this load
Yeah.
bearing technique, of building homes is has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, but has fallen out of fashion, right? Because it's more expensive, and so we're just reviving that, right? I'll give you another example. Our doors and windows, we've taken again. It's an internal pledge that 80% of our doors and windows will not be made, but will be recycled, upcycled, and reused. So we buy out old homes, old palaces, old you know British government structures, old, and we then so we buy out the entire structure. Like we will buy out a palace, for example, right? And we will repurpose the doors, we will repurpose the wood flooring. We buy out old ships, for example, for wooden flooring.
Give me an example of a palace that you've bought and reused the doors.
So the way it works, right, Namrata, is across Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, you have all these very, very, then, they're actually not even palaces, they're these mini
Havelis.
Havelis. These
Yeah.
mini Havelis where the owners have fallen on hard times. So the way we do it is we purchase these through auctions. So it's not a one-on-one transaction. We will, they will go to an agent, or an agent will then auction everything up, and we go out and buy them, right? But I'll give you an example. Boats, right? Large
Yeah.
ships. Large ships have used uh, wood, decking wood for ages, right? And
Yeah.
these are these are old Burma teak, etc.
Yeah.
So we buy them out and reuse them. So this is a pledge that 80% of the wood we use is recycled or upcycled. So we're not cutting more trees. And then talking about people, a lot of, and when you visit our homes, a lot of the techniques, materials, etc. we use are usually traditional crafts or traditional techniques, etc. Right?
Artisan
So
created.
artisan created. So we do something called IPS. IPS was actually a dead art till we kind of brought it alive and made it cool and made it
What does it
happening again.
mean?
IPS stands for Indian Pattern Stone. It's almost like that cement finish.
Okay.
Jeffrey Bawa uses a lot of it in Sri Lanka. So or used to use a lot of it in Sri Lanka. So, it's something that, families in India used for ages, and it just died because it wasn't, cool anymore, modern anymore. So we use a lot of that, and we've kind of worked with those families and retrained them, and now have made them, they've evolved from being individuals and couples to families to now actual corporations and enterprises that are now doing IPS, right? And earning crores and crores a year. So we do a lot of this, both on the environmental side and on the people side.
Hmm. Nibhrant, you're also a sports lover. You
Yeah,
play judo, you're a
yeah,
horse racing enthusiast. Does your passion for sports or competition fuel your professional drive?
absolutely. I always, when I look at other entrepreneurs around me, I always see that most of them have excelled at some extracurricular, during their formative years, right? And that extracurricular activity could be a sport, or it could be something else, right? It could be a musical instrument. And I feel, sport gave me, I did judo for the country, right, for India, and I think it gave me,
Really?
yes, and what it did was it gave me. It taught me discipline. It taught me great. It taught me, look, you're more likely to lose than win, and if you lose, it doesn't matter. You can win the next match. And I think those are all very, very, very important characteristics, because 9 out of 10 times things don't go your way, and you need to have the grit to deal with that.
Grant, it's been wonderful chatting. I can't wait to meet you offline and get an unrecorded version of your Forbes top 50 customers so soon.
Absolutely. And Namrata, this has been fun. I'm such a big fan of the podcast, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really,
That's
really,
wonderful
really.
to hear. Very
All
kind
right.
and good luck with everything.
Thank you. You too.
If you enjoyed the show or not, write to me on Instagram, Twitter, or Clubhouse at Namrata Zakaria. For updates on Tell Me How You Did It, follow us at HT Smartcast. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Clubhouse. To listen to more podcasts, log on to htsmartcast.com or suno naye nazariye se.